can double it and do a 10K, so 6.2 miles. So it is up to you. It is player's choice. Again, it is all about fun and fitness, getting the family up and moving. So that race weekend will be July 31st through August 2nd. So after all the sizzling summer information, you're going to be able to celebrate with that 5K or 10K. If you do get that healthy at home calendar, then on that July calendar, there's going to be a training plan for a 5K or a 10K. So you have it all there for you. You can follow along. Everything will be easy for that 5K or 10K. So I'm looking forward to all of the pictures from across the state, all different counties of people participating at the end of July. So look forward to that. I also want to touch on COVID-19 because summer, as we know, is a little different this year, and people are kind of forgetting that there is a pandemic going on as the world starts opening up a little bit. So I just want to go over some reminders of washing our hands, 20 seconds. If you don't have soap and water, make sure that you take hand sanitizer with you. Again, avoid touching your eyes, your nose, your mouth with unwashed hands or while you are out and about. Also, practice social distancing, keeping 6 feet apart from anyone who you aren't living with. And then again, stay home if you are sick, if you aren't feeling well, and then always cover your mouth or nose with a tissue, with your elbow, and then wash your hands immediately after. So keep that in mind while we are going out, while we are going outside to be active, which is good. We want to be outside. We want to encourage that green exercise, going out to those lakes, to those pools, if they are open in your neighborhood. But again, reminding ourselves to practice social distance and to be aware, even when we are in water. So if you're at a pool, a community pool, or at the lake or at the beach, still in water, practicing social distance, and on land, practicing social distance. So keep that in mind. But we really want to start off with some summer safety. So that is just so important right now. And the first thing that you can think of is the sun, right? So choose your cover. So hide and seek is perfect in terms of thinking of staying in shade, right? So find that shade, seek it out, hide underneath it. If it's from a tree, if it's from an umbrella, if you're in an awning or a covered patio, wherever you are, try to seek that shade as much as possible. The second tip is to cover up, right? So you can see what I'm wearing right now is actually a awesome SPF 50 shirt. So that way I'm protected from the sun, but cover up. So wear loose clothing, light clothing, anything that can help wick sweat is also important, but cover up to protect from the sun. The second thing is get a hat, and I know that some of our other presenters on this call are going to be modeling some awesome hats that you can wear to protect your face from the sun. Get some shades, right? So wearing sunglasses is really helpful as well to protect ourselves, as well as sunscreen. So we're going to dive in a little bit deeper on sunscreen safety and really the importance of wearing sunscreen. So anytime that we go out, whether it's sunny or shady, today here in Lexington, it's a little bit shady, but it's still important to wear sunscreen, whether that's daily sunscreen moisturizer that you have on, or if you're lathering up because you know you're going to be outside for an extended period of time. 15 to 30 minutes is enough time to have sun damage. So you really want to make sure that anytime you go outside that you're putting on that SPF. CDC recommends that you have a minimum of SPF 15 or higher. You want to make sure that it's water resistance because you could be in the pool, in the lake, or just from sweat, as well as provides a broad spectrum, so UVA and UVB rays. You want to apply sunscreen at least 15 minutes or 30 minutes, longer the better, before going outdoors. So finding that 15 to 30 minute window to let it soak in. You need about 1 ounce or enough to fill a shot glass to fully cover your body. You want to apply sunscreen to all skin not covered by clothing. So again, right, I have a long sleeve shirt on, so I would want to make sure I hit my legs, my feet, my hands, my ears, your neck, especially if you are balding and you aren't wearing a hat. Make sure that you hit those spots on your head. A lot of times people forget about those. So you really want to make sure any skin that is exposed, you want to hit it with that sunscreen. Then if you are outside for a long amount of time, you want to make sure that you are reapplying that sunscreen every 2 hours, or if you are in and out of water a lot and you feel like it's coming off, it's okay to reapply every time whenever you feel like it's needed. So keep that in mind, SPF 15 or higher. Anytime you're outside, making sure that we have that sunscreen on, reapplying every 2 hours or when you feel like it is needed. So we're going to talk about beating the heat because this is so important as the heat rises during the summer. And to keep that in mind, that the people who are at the greatest risk for heat is people under age of 4 and over 65. Heat kills more than 600 people in the US each year, so it is really important to take it seriously. Again, this is just a reminder, right? Never leave infants, children, or pets in a parked car, even if the windows are cracked open. That can be really dangerous. We want to remember to remember to dress in loose or lightweight, light colored clothing. We want to stay hydrated. We're going to talk a lot about that coming up. We want to make sure that we're scheduling outdoor activities carefully, right? So we're not outside during the heat of the day, and that we are coming in during that heat time and that we're out maybe in the morning or in the late afternoon or evening. And then stay cool with cool showers or baths if you feel like you're getting overheated. And I wanted to share this with you guys so that you can spot the signs, so that you know about heat exhaustion and heat stroke. So heat exhaustion, heavy sweating, weakness or fainting, cold, pale, clammy skin, fast or weak pulse, and it can even cause nausea or vomiting. So for heat exhaustion, you want to, again, move someone to a cooler location, lie down, loosen up their clothing, apply cool or wet cloths to the body, let them sip on some water, and then seek medical attention if they start vomiting. Heat stroke is more serious. It is an increase in high body temperature. They turn hot and red, dry, or moist skin instead of that cold, pale. They have a rapid and strong pulse. So their pulse is really strong. So again, you can check your pulse here or on their wrist. So remember, strong pulse and it's rapid. If you have heat exhaustion, which is not as serious, still serious, but not as serious, it's going to be fast and weak pulse. So that's really where you can tell a big difference. And then from heat stroke, possibly they could go unconscious. So to take action for a heat stroke, you want to call 911 immediately, move that person to a cooler spot. Again, apply cool or wet cloths to the body and do not give them fluids because it could be really hard for their body to react because they're in such a crisis mode with stroke. So be really mindful of that when you're watching for heat exhaustion or heat stroke. And so water safety, this is something that if you were listening to the podcast before, David does a great job at discussing water safety. But I do want to remind you guys that drownings can lead to death for children's age 1 to 4, and 3 children die every day because of drowning. So it is so important to pay attention with water. Like David mentions in the podcast, if you haven't listened to it, check it out on the Talking Facts podcast, is that you can drown in 4 inches of water. So really it can be not just the lake, not just the pool, not just a pond, but it can be anywhere, bathtub, small kiddie pool, outdoor pool, anywhere there can be a concern for drowning. So the best way to avoid that is to always have someone supervising children around the water. David brings up an awesome point of pointing out someone who is responsible to watch the children and then taking turns so that that person doesn't feel like they have to be there the entire time, especially during family gatherings while we are all getting together. So really making sure that you have a point person to watch kids while they are in the pool, or even adults. Really, everyone should be aware of this water safety. And then again, teach your kids how to swim, teach yourself how to swim. My brother actually last summer just took adult swim lessons. So it's never too young to learn water safety and to learn how to swim. Install a 4-sided fence around home pools, so that way there is safety in terms of you can regulate who comes in and who doesn't, and guard it for little kids so that they don't get in the water when you aren't there to watch them. And if your kids aren't ready to swim yet, make sure that they wear a properly fitted life jacket. Or if you're out On lakes, boating, everyone should have a life jacket and a safety device for flotation. So just to wrap up, summer is full of fun, and summer should be fun, right? This is time to move our bodies, to explore the outdoors, and to get out. So the best thing for adults is to model summer safety, right, for your kids. And so you can do that by moving more and sitting less. Kids need 60 minutes a day, so 1 hour of physical activity every day. And so you can do that by just getting them outside, right? Kids want to play. But we want to make sure that we do that safely. So we're applying sunscreen, we're watching out for heat stroke, we're taking hydration breaks, we are wearing our helmets. So if we're riding bikes or scooters or skateboarding, we have that helmet on, and adults need to have the helmet on as well. I know a lot of people may be traveling to different locations for family visits or for a getaway. So while traveling, make sure that your kids are buckled up, whether they be in a car seat, a booster seat, or just with that seat belt. Again, children under age 13 are best protected when they are in the back seat. And then I want to point this out as well, because with COVID-19, we have seen a decrease in kids going for their vaccines, for their updated vaccines, to stay on schedule. So make sure that your child is up to date on vaccines as well. And I'm going to hand it off to Dr. David Weisenhorn, who is going to show us a little bit more about how to have summer fun.
Hey, thank you so much, Natalie. Does everybody see me there? I hope so. Good. So I'm here to talk a little bit with you about some of the fun things that we can do in the summer. But before we get there, I wanted to kind of touch on some of the wonderful things that Natalie was mentioning and just kind of clear up if there's any unclarity and maybe demonstrate some of those safety tips. But before I get there even, I wanted to introduce, I've got a couple of special guests with me. Who do I have with me?
Steve Weisenhorn, Elijah Weisenhorn.
So I've got the two littles of me here to help and demonstrate. And Natalie, as you can see, we are sunned up. I'm screened up. The kids have their sun shirts on. Elijah's got the long sleeve on. And as you can see, yes, that's right. I got that sweet sombrero. Going to make sure no sun touches me from anywhere around 5 feet below this awesome sunshade I have. But as we get going, I wanted to touch a little bit on what you said. We're talking about water safety, right? Everybody loves the water in the summer. And you mentioned life jackets, and I'm so glad that you did, because it's really important. And I just want to touch quickly on what a proper fit of a life jacket would look like. But, you know, there's a lot when we go to the store. What are we looking for? What do we need? Sometimes you see the little armies, the little floaties that go on the arm, or the puddle jumper that goes across the chest and connects to the arms. But what we really want to make sure for a personal flotation device, and sometimes you'll hear that as a PFD, that means personal flotation device, is that we want to make sure that they're recommended by the Coast Guard or Marine listed. And you'll see that inside the jacket. A lot of times you'll see right here, U.S. Coast Guard approved. And that lets you know right off the bat that this jacket has been tested and is proven to be a safe bet for you and your children. But like you said, making sure a good fit is definitely something that you want to do. And so when thinking about what a fit looks like, I've got Elijah is going to demonstrate, you know, maybe you have an extra jacket around and you don't want to go and get one for your child, but you say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to use what we have. We'll cinch down these straps real tight. It's not too tight on him. It'll work perfect. I want to caution you against having that sort of mentality, and really encourage you to find one that fits properly. The way that you would determine if your jacket fits properly is by being able to lift on the shoulder straps here above the ear. If you can lift this above the ear, what that indicates is if this child were to fall in water, the buoyancy of the water is going to push that jacket up and over their head, rendering it useless and possibly leading to death or injury, and hopefully not. So choosing a proper fitting jacket is important. The other thing you'll notice about this jacket is that it tells you inside that it's a youth jacket. It also identifies the level, the chest size as well, or the chest size as well as the weight of the jacket, up to 50 to 90 pounds. That this is a jacket that should fit. As it goes on, again, you have multiple different ones. That one had a zipper. This one's got a couple of buckles. Some have 3 buckles. But you'll want to buckle the jacket and make sure that it's got a snug fit. One way you can do that is by cinching those straps on the side, and then ensuring, again, that we're going to check again just for that proper fit. And that would be not being able to lift this jacket above her ears. And so now you can see Eve has got a proper fitting jacket. It's nice, and now she's going to be safe. So that's one on the life jackets. Let's move a little bit more to the pools. We're talking about pools, and as you mentioned, as this podcast, or as this started, I talked about the podcast in pool safety and water safety. And one of the things we talked about is that, yeah, you mentioned children can die in a very small amount of water, just 2 inches. And I wanted to show you quickly what 2 inches might look like. As you'll see in this pool, 2 inches is here. And what's interesting is it doesn't even fill the full parameter of the pool. And as I mentioned in the podcast, I'll mention again here, in Kentucky, a good heavy rain can produce at least 2 inches of water. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, even if you've drained it properly with the drain valve, one way to do is to make sure the water's not in it when you turn it over. And just in case, that way, if it does rain before the next time you plan to get in, there won't be any chance for an accident or a child to fall out. And as you mentioned that 4 sides, Natalie, I just want to show everybody just how easy it could be for a small child to tumble in, or even an adult. If I wasn't paying attention, I was walking or playing in the backyard, it'd be very easy for me to flip into this pool and fall into water and maybe not be able to get out. So again, just wanting to make sure we're protecting ourselves. The last thing I'll mention about these pools is that sometimes we like big rafts like this one here. My daughter and my wife, they love this raft. It's nice and fun to lay out on, and I think it's a great way to spend time in the sun. However, we want to make sure that we take it out of our pool, because it's really easy for maybe a child to be playing, and it's easy to obstruct the view so that we wouldn't see if a child is actually in the pool. Elijah is going to demonstrate just how easy it is to hide when there's a raft in the pool. Up in, bud. So I can, as you can see, I can just lay that raft just like that, and he is out of view. So if I was inside the house here and I was looking to see if there was someone in there, I wouldn't be able to see it. So just another tip in summer safety is to take these rafts when you got on the flotation device and just pull them out of the pool. All right, so let's talk about enough about all the safety tips. Let's talk about some fun games to play. Where'd my help go? Kids, where are you? Water guns. Water guns are another really fun thing and a fun way to spend the summer and kind of beat that heat. But one thing we want to make sure, no matter what the guns are, a lot of them now, they really can produce a lot of force with the water. And if you shoot in the face, it can be dangerous. You could hurt an eye or lose a contact and maybe do damage to the face. So we really always want to avoid hitting anybody in the face with a water gun. What are some other ways you guys like to beat the heat?
Sprinkler, water balloon.
Water balloons and sprinkler. We got a sprinkler right here. What do you say we show what we like to do? What do you like to do, Eve? Oh, getting fancy. Let's go, Elijah. What you got? Silly. Yeah, Dale, I can get in there. All right. Sprinklers are a great way to beat the fun. They're a lot of fun. You can do a lot of dancing. You can have a dance party. You can see who's got the best moves, who can jump the highest. A lot of fun games you can play. I also like water balloons, right? Here's a game that I'll show you that we like to play. It's easy just to toss them at one another, but if you can make a sport out of it and make it challenging, it can be a lot of fun, especially if you have multiple people. So one of the games that I'll share with you is kind of like the old egg toss, right? It's a balloon toss. You mark a couple of spots here and you begin tossing the balloon to each other. And as I catch it, one person moves back one big step. Then we'll toss again. Ooh. Whoa. Oh, goodness. One more step. Take a step back. All right, let's see what you got here. All right, that's one way to do it. Another fun game that I'll show with you that I think is included in your packet, it's a lot of fun, is Elijah and I like to shoot hoops. And I'm going to take my hat off for this one because I might get a little wet. We call this shooting hoops. So one person becomes the basket, not the best part of this, unless you like getting wet. You hang the basket above your head, and the other person gets about 10 to 15 seconds to see how many of those balloons he can toss and make in the basket. Let's go, buddy. Oh, yeah. These things smell terrible. What is this? What in the world? Rotten eggs. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, that is horrible. Oh, I don't suggest the rotten egg ones. But let's face it, not every day is a sunny day in the summer. So there are other ways that we can other crafts that we like to do. And one thing that Eve and I have been working on just this week was something that she came up with. And I just wanted to share it with you because I think it's an easy craft that you can do at your house too. One of the things that, Eve, why don't you explain it?
So, the things that we've been doing are crafts like sign. So you take an old piece of wood, some paint, and some rope. But if you don't have a board, you can use cardboard or paper.
And what's nice is, you end up with a little sign like this that can decorate your home. So there are a couple of things I hope that you join, that you learned and that you enjoyed, and some things that you'll take away and maybe enjoy and spark up your summer sizzling fun. Right now, let's talk a little bit about hydration. So, over to you, Courtney.
Thank you, David. That sounds so fun. I am super jealous of you and all the games that you're playing. Can you all hear me okay? All right.
Great.
Okay, great. So after all that fun in the sun and the hydration, or after all that fun in the sun, it's time to get hydrated and to rest and refuel. Before we do that, I'll just point out one of my favorite sunwear to go to is just a really, really big hat because it keeps the shade off my face. You can wear sunglasses or not and still kind of see everything that's going on. So I'd like to invite you into my home now, and we can pretend that I get to serve you some drinks and some snacks on the patio or the porch. So with the sun, with the heat, with the humidity, the temperature is going to make us sweat, right? We are going to be sweating, we are going to be hot, and sweating is our body's way of cooling down. And with that, we are going to need some more hydration. And so, Natalie, if you wouldn't mind sharing the screen real quick, one of the most common questions I get is how much fluid should I be getting? Or how much fluid should my child be getting? And the answer is, if you can go back one more, the answer is it really depends. So it depends on several factors, but the main ones are an individual's age and whether they are male or female. And so in addition, there's other factors like physical activity. So if you're more active, you're gonna need more water. And like I said, the heat and the humidity is gonna up everyone's fluid needs over the summer. But if we can take a peek at this table, this lets us know a general idea. These are general recommendations from the Institute of Medicine. And so really you want to go with what feels good, but this is a baseline starting point of where you can start. Some goals to set. So if you have tiny tots in home in between the ages of 1 to 5 years, it kind of goes up with their age. So about 1 to 5 cups of fluid a day. If you have 6 to 8-year-olds in your house, it's about 7 cups for both boys and girls. And if you have kind of those tweens, the 9 to 13-year-old group, it really jumps there. So boys are going to need about 10 cups a day. Girls are going to need about 9 cups a day. And as you get your teenagers, it goes up even more. So 14 cups for boys, 10 cups for girls. And then for adults, we need anywhere between 11.5 cups for women and 15.5 cups for men. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, your fluid needs go up even more. All right, Natalie, you can go ahead and stop sharing that screen now. Thank you. So with fluid, a lot of times the question is, well, what should I drink? 15 cups of water, that sounds like a lot, and it is. But the good news, there is multiple sources that you can stay hydrated with. The 2 main categories are drinks, but also food. And so I'm gonna kind of point out some great examples of each, particularly items that are in season during the summer. So we've talked about how much fluid one should aim for each day. Let's talk about what the best sources of drinks are. If you walk into a local corner store or a gas market or even your grocery store, there are aisles upon aisles dedicated to beverages. And a lot of them are in easy, ready to drink single serve or seemingly single serve sizes. And so what should you be looking for you and or your children? And the two best sources are going to be water as well as low-fat milk. So I'll show you here, we have our low-fat milk. This can come from a cow source. If you are a vegetarian or maybe someone has an allergy to a milk protein, plant-based options are available. These include fortified skim milk or even fortified almond milks, as well as many others. However, not all plant-based drinks are created equal, and so you really want to ensure that it's fortified with the calcium and vitamin D that you would be getting. You also want to look for protein. So does it have about 7 grams of protein per serving? Again, that's going to get you the most nutritionally equivalent to that dairy source of milk. And you also want to make sure it is unsweetened, because beverages are an easy way for those sugars to sneak in, and it can wreak havoc on our teeth. All right, so we've talked about milk. Let's talk about water. I understand that some people may not like water, and that's okay. So what are your options there? We can make it fun and we can make it flavorful. So I think within the information that you might have available to you, we have some information on what I like to call jazzing up your water. The flavor combinations are endless and it is easy on the eyes. So I'll show you today, I made a single serving. I just pulled together some lemon and I happen to have some basil in my fridge. And so I just filled it with water and let it set. If you want to try a larger batch, you can start with maybe about a cup of fruit. Pick any of your favorite fruits. Is it lemon? Is it limes? Our berries are in season. Our melons are in season. Maybe you want to try cucumber. That has a nice distinct taste. You can also look at your favorite herbs. So I put basil in there, kind of a lemon basil. There are also mint. You could throw like a strawberry mint combination. Whatever you think you might like. About a cup of fruit, maybe 8 to 12 leaves of the herbs, and then let it soak in about a liter of water. A gallon of water. You can put it about 4 hours in the fridge, or I'm pretty low key and I just do single serving. Again, this really can be tailored to your preferences. So that's one way to enhance the flavor. You can also think about bubbles, like what my daughter likes to call bubble water. So it's a carbonated water and you can get plain. They also have flavored varieties that do not have added sugar. So some people like the bubbles. There's those machines that you can do to inject your own and create your own carbonated water at home. So that's another way to play around with water. Let me get one more from the fridge for you. Trying to come up with so many examples for you all today. So one other way to think about it is ice. You could play around with ice. So my daughter was here last night. We created fruit cubes. So we cut up some strawberries, we plopped some blueberries in an ice cube tray, filled it with water and let it set overnight. So you can just add your little fruit cubes, add some water, and then you can have a frosty, refreshing, watery treat. All right, so we've talked about some flavor options, but there are other ways to make water more exciting. One is to have a special cup. This could be a craft or a project if you need an indoor thing. Last night I had my daughter, we took a solo cup and she added stickers. Yes, those are M&M stickers and Cat in the Hat and hearts and some markers. That's what we had available. But she had a really good time. This was an activity that kept her busy while I was getting dinner ready in the kitchen. But then she continued to drink water throughout the day. It would be easy to label. So a fun activity, but also a special water cup. Making a cup special can make it a little more exciting, particularly for those young children. And I don't know about you, but straws are my way that I prefer to drink water. So I just got a really big cup for myself. It has a straw, and I know I am more likely to drink water that way. Straws can make it fun for kids. We have like a rainbowy straw for my daughter. You could go to the dollar store and get some ones that have fun, funky swirls. Again, just ideas of ways to jazz up water. Another thing to make sure that you can all aim for your fluid recommendations, reach those goals, stay hydrated, is to have water available. Water is a great beverage to have sitting out and make it easy to reach, even for your youngest children. You don't want any milk or juices or any other types of drinks sitting around to drink throughout the day, because that can promote dental cavities. So save those drinks for either a meal or a snack or a special occasion, but make sure that water can be accessible, especially those young children that have that growing sense of independence. It can really make them feel grown up to just be able to reach it whenever they want and learn to respond to those thirst cues, those thirst signals. Okay, so water, we've talked about making fun ice cubes. We've talked about straws and special cups and making it accessible. I will say, if you making drinks accessible to your tiny, tiny tots at home, you probably want a lid on it in some way, shape, or form. So that way you can minimize your spills and your messes. Okay, we've talked about fluids. That's kind of what I like to think of as our hydration station. Low-fat milk, water are your key. I will hit on fruit juice really quick because I know that is a popular option. It's not to say that you can't or shouldn't have any fruit juice, but it's recommended to limit it to no more than half a cup per day. So that's about 4 ounces. You could use 100% fruit juice, and you do want to make sure by looking at the package, it says 100% fruit juice instead of something like a fruit drink. A fruit drink is going to be more of a sugar-based beverage, whereas 100% fruit juice is going to be more of a fruit juice-based beverage. But fruit juice is another way that you could jazz up your water. You could put a little splash of the 100% juice, put the rest water. It might add a little fun color to your cup or your kid's cup, and also add just enough flavor that it makes it a little bit more appealing and that people enjoy what they're drinking. Now that we've talked about fluids, let's talk about some snacks, because we can also get hydrated from food, which we may not think of. And Natalie, if you would share the screen one more time. I was supposed to have an assistant with me today, but she could not be bothered to help me out. Those preschoolers, I tell you, are hard to wrangle. And her school did open, so she's back at it. But I wanted to show you the items that I'm showing you now are kid created. So yes, Sophia, my daughter, did help me. You'll see there's the cup. And that one on the right is her really diving into that chocolate hummus and living her best life, and the fruit stick, and we'll get to those. So these were kid created, or she helped me with appropriate supervision. So getting her involved in the kitchen. It's kid tested, so she tried it and said she liked it, and then kid approved. All right, and so again, we are gonna be hitting on the fun, the flavorful, and accessible. All right, if you wanna finish sharing the screen now. So I am going to see if I can tilt this a bit. All right, I think that should help. All right, so what I want to talk about is fruit and vegetables. Fruit and vegetables are great sources of fluid. A lot of items that are in season this summer are great sources of water. So we have melons like cantaloupe and honeydew and watermelon. Our berries like strawberries and blueberries and raspberries. Peaches are coming in soon. And then when we think about tomatoes and lettuce and cucumbers, all of them are amazing sources, chock full of fluid and water, but also nutritious for a number of reasons. And they're in season, and so they are going to have maybe a different taste than we might find at other times of the year. So our fruit and vegetables are ways to build in hydration throughout the day. So part of our meals and our snacks. So maybe you get tired of drinking things. This is another option for you and your family members. So think about your family favorites and start there. Start with what you're comfortable with, but then maybe challenge yourselves and make it kind of an exploration process, or maybe you want to call it a family challenge to try a new fruit or a vegetable. And so if you're introducing new fruit and vegetables, there are a lot of ways to go about it, but what I'm going to cover today are sticks and dips. Sticks and dips make it so fun for children. And so what I want to show you today is fruit on a stick. And Sophia liked to call this fruit salad. So we just took the fruit that we had, we cut it up, and we put it on a stick. You can find these sticks at your dollar store, at your local Walmart, your grocer, anywhere that you shop. And we got ones that weren't sharp. So it made it a little bit more challenging to put the fruit on there for the kiddo, but it was less likely to poke and stick anyone. So think about some sticks as a fun option for fruit. They can eat it right off of here. We repurposed it. So every time she ate it, we just put more on. Great hydration, great nutrition, and super, super fun to eat. You can also try, vegetables are a little more tricky on the stick, but this one is kind of like a pretend caprese salad, if you will. So it's just little tomatoes and then little sticks, little chunks of mozzarella. So you could put a cheese cube and vegetables like tomatoes or maybe even cucumbers might be an easy one. So nutritious and hydrating. Lettuce is another option. So you could put your sticks on a little salad if you want to explore with some greens. Sometimes just offering foods, different foods, new foods that smell different, that look different, that taste different, that's the first step. Our children can't like them. We can't learn to like them unless we start to play with them. And so snacks are a great way to do that. We also made chocolate hummus. We had a can of garbanzo beans, it's unsweetened cocoa, a little bit of maple syrup, and a little bit of water, and we just blended it up. And this, Sophia liked to call as brownie batter. It tastes like a less sweet version of brownie batter, but it is great for dipping fruit. So we have our I put an apple, that's an easy dipper, but sweet, so it's actually got some fiber in it and it's nutritious. Black beans are another great option to mash all this together and to create a tasty option. Another great dipper for the chocolate hummus is graham crackers. All right, and then finally, vegetables. So anyone here familiar with ants on a log? Super fun, but it combines different textures. Celery is another great food that's chock full of water. It's crunchy. You could put a nut butter. I put peanut butter on there. You could also put raisins, although if you have little ones under the age of 4, you want to be careful with those raisins because they could be a choking hazard. But so a little bit of nut butter. If you don't have nut butter, maybe you're more of like a cream cheese fan, you could just put a little smear of that so you get a crunchy and more savory snack. And then finally, dips. So the chocolate hummus is an example of a dip. And then I love dips for my vegetables. I'm more likely to eat them raw if I have a dip. And so today, I just made, it's Greek yogurt, and then I added a little pesto to it. So pesto you could make from basil or parsley. So for anyone who is growing an herb garden or garden this summer, these tend to flourish. So you could just mix up a little pesto that has your olive oil or other oil of choice and your basil or your parsley, and then the nuts of your choice. So you can really tailor it to your family's flavor preferences, but it's a great dip. Really satisfying, and by using yogurt as a base, it can give it a really creamy, tangy texture, tangy taste, and then by adding a little flavor, and it's very chock full of nutrition, more so than some of the other dips that you might find at the store. But in my opinion, if it's going to help you explore and taste new fruits and vegetables, any dip is better than no dip. So just to recap here, these were some ideas for ways to stay hydrated through fluids, through foods. You can involve your children or other family members, and ways that you can just continue to take care of yourself so you are fueled to have fun and stay safe this summer. And I'll kick it back to our team.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So again, we just hope that you guys are feeling inspired now to kick up that summer fun, and to make sure that you are following all of the safety tips that we gave you, whether it's sunscreen, whether it's wearing a life jacket, getting outside, playing games like the Weisenhorns, they did an amazing job, or if you are staying hydrated with those healthy snacks and hydration little tips of sizzling up that water with a lemon or some fruit. So hopefully you guys feel ready to kick up the summer fun. It is officially summer now. So thank you so much for joining us. And we are excited to see what you guys do throughout the summer, and to make sure to tune in to our Sizzling Summer program every Thursday.
Thank you, Natalie. And we do have a question. I think this would probably be to Courtney. Just looking for maybe a chart that would show what you can get from eating fresh fruit as far as fluids. So I don't know if you would have that available automatically today, but that might be something that you could share out to extension agents and they could share with clientele.
I have a
You may
question.
be able to address that. So
Yes, no, I think that's great. I don't currently have a chart created, but it would be super easy. So we will create that and you all can then share that with your local communities. Great idea.
all
I have a
right.
question.
Thank everyone. If we have other questions, you can put them in the chat box there, but we certainly want to thank our presenters. Many comments are on here about the children that are joining as far as in person and pictures, and we really thank you all for that. So I'll turn this back over to Mindy.
Hi, everybody. So we are going to be back here next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central Time. Our topic next week is Thrill of the Grill. So we hope that you will join us. And I want to thank Courtney, David, and Natalie for their great job sharing this important information. I think that we've all learned something today, and we've certainly had fun. I've seen in the chat box that the kids were the hit of the show, David. So thank you all, and we will see you again next week.